Hey, it's Andrew Downs. I'm proud to support Three Beards Media, and I would love to work with you. If you need merchandise for your company, organization, band, softball team, whatever, I can help. From name brand apparel to promotional items, large orders or small, online stores, and more, I can help your brand stand out. AKC Marketing is local, based in Johnston, and we are an employee-owned business, so our costs are low and our turnaround times are fast. But most importantly, we give you personal service to make sure you get exactly what you're looking for. Email me at andrew@akcmarketing.com or find me on social media, and let's make some cool stuff together. Now sit back and enjoy this Three Beards Media podcast.
Welcome back with another episode of Hawks Eye View. It's been about a month since we've been back. We had Sean Roberts on last time, but tonight it's just me, Andrew, with Drew Shipley here as well. AKC Marketing, thank you. Revelton, thank you. Greenbrae Realty, our new sponsor, thank you. And Kyle Lehman at One Trust Mortgage, thank you, all of you, for sponsoring this show and all the podcasts around Three Beards Media. Huge shout out to all of them. So with that said, Drew, man, it's good to be back, isn't it?
It is. Since we've joined everybody last, I've been back to Iowa and then back home since then. I've been to a mountain trip with my friends here in Maryland. My oldest son has come to visit for his 2 weeks in the summer, and now he has been gone. Had a 10-year-old birthday yesterday for the youngest one, and Summer Olympics are over. So, summer's my favorite season, Andrew, and there's a lot of reasons for that. Baseball's my favorite sport, so naturally it gets to take center stage for most of the summer, right? I like going to the lake. I like going camping. I like doing those kind of things outdoors, swimming, beach, you name it, water sports, all kinds of stuff. So the fact that summer is coming to a close, I'm having a little realization period right now, I think, because leaves are starting to fall here. I don't know about back home. I'm guessing so.
Somewhat.
But that just means football's around the corner, Andrew. So there's some exciting stuff. We've had some celebrity sightings at the Iowa State Fair. Luca Garza making some appearances there at the Iowa Lottery, I think. Andrew, do you do the State Fair at all?
No, I'm not.
That's not your jam. You're not a people person.
You talked about how much you love the summer, and I'm not someone who loves hot weather. I'm not someone who loves the outdoors, actually. I would rather be inside all the time.
I understand.
I adventured outdoors for Kids Day, promptly got sunburnt. Didn't wear sunscreen. I was only outside for an hour and a half, and I got sunburnt.
Oh, boy. It was a nice weather day from what I understand at Kids Day.
Yeah, it was, but the sun was a lot warmer than what I was expecting. It was a good day. I got to meet friend of the podcast, David Eichholt, personally for the first time. I bumped fists with Jay Higgins and Nick Jackson and Cade McNamara and the new punter, Reese Dakin. I got to tell him punting is winning to his face. He said, darn right. And in the thickest Australian accent that I won't try to pull off because I can't. So yeah, and you mentioned the Olympics. Spencer Lee, silver medalist.
Yeah, it's almost a disappointment, right? Because he's had a long trek to get to this point, right? So he missed the 2020 Japan games, which essentially was the 2021 games after the COVID, after COVID bumped it back a year, just for lack of having knees, like literally lack of having knees, kind of derailed his 2020 aspirations of being an Olympic champion. So he's a much older wrestler at the freestyle. Which, by the way, did you watch any of the Olympics, like freestyle wrestling specifically? Like, it's a whole different ball game. Like, tossing people around and rolling them is like extra points, and like points can stack up in a hurry, Andrew. And after it's 10-0, it's over. So, I mean, Spencer Lee, 2 out of the 3 matches I'd seen him pointed out his opponents. The gold medalist that ended up beating Spencer Lee 4-2. I think he pointed everybody but Spencer Lee. So, I mean, obviously he was a worthy competitor, and this, like I said, this freestyle wrestling is really different than the folk style that we're used to.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't know much about it. I'm glad you're here to explain it for everybody listening, because I'm not tuned into anything wrestling at all.
I mean, we could expand even further in the state of Iowa if you want to go further. You know, Kenny Benerick, nicknamed Kung Fu Kenny, got second in the open 200-meter, beating Noah Lyles. Kenny Benerick went to Indian Hills Community College. I don't know if you knew that, Andrew, down in Ottumwa. So we had him there as a silver medalist. My gosh, what's her name now? It's killing me. She ran the 1500.
She won a medal. She went to Iowa. I can't remember her name.
Oh, the Iowan one. Yep.
Yeah.
Gosh, I can't even remember what race that was either. Anyway, Iowans across the board were some medalists. Other people competing in the 1500. USA did win the total medal count. They tied China for gold, number of gold. So that was pretty cool. Men's and women's basketball team, gold. Pretty competitive games against France, both men and women respectively. The women's game was awesome, actually.
Yeah, I didn't get to watch it, unfortunately.
It was pretty early in the morning. It was 9:30 Eastern time, so you might have been recovering from Saturday night activities. I don't know.
I was recovering from being sunburnt at Kids Day.
Kids Day. That's right.
So Kids Day. This will be a nice segue into the football season. Got a good chance to look at the team. I'm sure you've heard some things by now. Not anything crazy to report out of Kids Day, other than I think the running game is good. The offensive line is good. And that was my biggest takeaway, I think, from Kids Day was that. And then I think it was pretty vanilla. I think the defense knew a lot of what was being run. I don't think Iowa was fully unveiling the whole Tim Lester bag of tricks.
Sure.
Like I know they weren't. I do think, though, that it looked different. They were trying to run plays to the edges where it made sense. They weren't just going up the middle. And Caleb Johnson and Kamari Moulton had some big runs, and true freshman Xavier Williams had some big runs with the third team. It was pretty good. It was good for the running game, I would say.
Sure. So my understanding, right? So like the writers and the professionals that went and covered this event, right, was kind of getting hung up, as far, in my opinion, on like the statistical portion of, especially at quarterback play, right? Which apparently is a battle all of a sudden when Kirk Ferentz said in May, when Brendan Sullivan committed to Iowa, that, well, it really doesn't matter. It's Cade's job, right? So doesn't seem like that's the case. Again, if you're living under a rock, this better not be the first time you've heard that. But that being said, in a Kids Day environment, my biggest takeaway, Andrew, is the overall health of the football team. and it sounds like everybody's healthy.
Yeah.
So that being said, from this time last year, was pretty controversial, pretty damaging to the overall season as it unfolded. So the overall team health, I think, to me was the big takeaway. Also, that I'm going to go ahead and hang some credit to the Iowa defense. I mean, it's ones playing ones, right, Andrew? Like I haven't been to a kids' day before or open practice. Like the ones are playing the ones, right?
Yeah, ones are playing ones, twos are playing twos, threes are playing threes, and so on.
Sure. So in this time of the season, whether it's the NFL preseason or whatnot, typically 9 times out of 10, the defense is ahead of the offense traditionally, right? So it seems like the defense is, has a step ahead in the early season. So like I'm not overly the fact that we have a top 5 defense like that's unquestioned. It's this early in the season. Like I don't want to like be doom and gloom about Cade McNamara and his future. We know there's a lot of money tied to his future being in Iowa City, which may or may not be a factor of who actually starts.
Yeah.
Did you see? Statistically, yeah, there was slightly a difference between Sullivan and Cade McNamara, but like, dude, 20 attempts and only 20 yards, like 1 yard per attempt for Cade. That is a little troubling, regardless if this is like first team defense, soft practice, right? You talk about these extra yards or running yards or receiving yards. Okay, well, you're blowing the ball dead anyway. Are they doing real tackling? Are they doing real sacking? Are they doing real anything? Like they're blowing shit dead, right?
Not with the ones and twos, but the threes, they were letting them real tackle. Anything the third string and beyond was live tackling. Pretty much ones and twos. It was once you kind of got touched by the defense, the play was kind of dead. They kind of were blowing it dead. They weren't allowing plays to continue. Where in the course of a normal game, the play would continue on until you were actually tackled.
Right. So yeah, that's why I'm not going to get hung up on nickel and diming the statistics piece of this, because we break a tackle or something happens on the defensive side. Like so many different things could happen in that actual play that is untold. So
and it's Cade's first real action in like a year too. So there's always going to be some rust. Like nobody's immune to rust after that long of a time off from real game action, like as close as you can get to game action, I guess I should say.
Sure. So I mean, end of the day, Andrew, like QB1, in your opinion, what you saw on Kids Day, your Kirk Ferentz, what are you doing on the 14th of August? What are you doing today?
Well, I would look to Tim Lester, because it sounds like Kirk is hands off, and this is really Lester's show. So I guess if I'm Tim Lester, because Tim Lester is really going to be the one to make the decision, I think Brendan Sullivan fits the offense that Lester wants to run a little bit better, but Cade has like the respect of the locker room, so that kind of makes it tough as well. But you got to do what's best for the offense ultimately, I think. And yeah, I do think Cade will probably be the starter week 1. But if I'm having to pick and I'm Tim Lester, I think Sullivan's the guy for my offense right now.
The good news, Andrew, is we start with Illinois State, right? So I think that both quarterbacks in a perfect world should see plenty of playtime to get like a real-time evaluation against Division I football opponent. So I think they're going to get a lot of tape both ways to see, what happens going into Iowa State week 2.
Yeah. So let's get down to it then. Week 1, I don't think it matters who the starter is for me as far as prediction wise. I don't know how you feel. I think we probably feel the same. Week 1, home game against Illinois State. I've got this marked as a win. What say you?
We gonna throw out fake scores or
fake scores? Well, I'll say that Iowa does score 40 points in this game.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
The running game looks good, man. I think we're going to be able to do a good rushing attack against an Illinois State team that's probably going to be outmatched. And I think we got 3 solid running backs, and I don't know how much we'll really be working on the passing game in week 1. You'd like to see some signs of life out of the passing game in week 1. We probably will. But I think it's all going to start with that rushing attack in the early season. And that's what makes this kind of offense go. If it's truly a Shanahan, Matt LaFleur kind of hybrid offense that Lester's running, then the run game is actually what makes the thing go. So because of that, I think we're going to have a strong commitment to running the ball, and we're 4 deep at running back. Kamari Moulton is really the name to know, though, because Sean Williams is the starter, but there's not a lot separating Caleb Johnson and Kamari Moulton at that second spot.
Okay.
There's not a lot separating either one of them, and it sounds like Kamari Moulton's going to get some heavy usage this year. So we've got 3 running backs, and Jazz Patterson's there at 4, who we feel good about as well. So, give me like 45 to 17. I think Illinois State maybe scores some late touchdowns against like a second or a third string defense.
When's the last time we've scored 42 points?
Didn't we do it last year against Utah State? Weren't we close? No, maybe not.
I don't remember. I'm gonna have to look that. I'm gonna look that up at the break because it's hard to be, even if it's the first game of the season. I'm not picking the Hawkeyes to score 42 points.
Okay, well, I'm out there 45-17. You're let's hear your fake score.
It's gonna be like 24-7, Andrew, because of that running game. I think it's gonna be one of those grinders. Pass it when you need to in obvious third down situations. I think it's gonna be a clock game that like Iowa's going to hold the ball for 42 minutes or something like that. You know, just 4 to 6 yard gains, occasional 10 to 12s. Just cook 7-8 minute drives. That's what I think.
All right.
Defense is gonna be the defense.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not even considering defensive scores for week 1. So I could be low in my prediction, I think.
That's true. That's true.
I could be low.
That's true.
Because with this defense, like Cooper's gone, but man, there's not. Both the second corners, like John Nestor and TJ Hall, both those guys were making pretty good plays out there at the second spot. And we've got Deshaun Lee. So we've got like 3 guys that we feel good about opposite Jermari Harris. So that's another battle to watch too, I think, is Nestor versus TJ Hall at that second corner spot. I think it's going to be one of those 2 guys coming out of that second corner spot. And I feel really good about the corners. And then obviously you got Castro and Xavier Nwampa, and you've got Schulte. Like, defense is just loaded, man. Like it's just loaded.
Everybody's predicting Xavier Nwampa to take that leap of like NFL fringe player this season.
Yeah.
Do you see that? Like, I mean, he has the talent, but he hasn't put it on film to me. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. If he's
going, like, to me, he's the Nickelback from last year. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and we didn't get to see him at Kids Day because he had like a minor injury. They just held him out, being cautious. We didn't get to see Lachey. Mason Richmond was in sparingly as well. So, yeah, it's hard to say, but I think if it's going to be any year, it's obviously got to be this year for him to really blow up. Or maybe he's just one of those guys who sticks around for 4 years and rises up in his senior year. similar to like a Kayvon Merriweather.
Okay.
Kayvon Merriweather got drafted, and maybe there wasn't a lot of hype about him after 3 years, but after his senior year, there was enough hype for him to get drafted on early third day, I believe.
Yep.
And I don't know. I think all the talent is there. Again, he's just got to put the film there.
Yep.
So he's got the most talented defensive backfield that he's ever been a part of. I can tell you that.
Minus Cooper DeJean.
Yeah, minus Cooper DeJean. Yeah, I truly believe that. John Nestor is going to be kind of the next corner in line there in the long line of corners. Jamari Harris is good. He's solid. He's a solid college corner. But John Nestor is going to take it to another level by the time his career is done at Iowa. We're going to remember him the same way we remember like Riley Moss.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
As long as we don't remember Riley Moss's freshman year of where he got cooked like 12 times. But then after that, he was great.
TJ Hall had that same experience against Nebraska when Cooper DeJean got hurt and he had to come in and he was a true freshman. He wasn't ready.
Yeah.
He wasn't truly ready for that scenario and he got cooked by Nebraska and we lost the game. And TJ Hall is now battling it out for a starting spot. He will be a starter next year if he sticks with the program. Nestor and Hall will be our starting corners next year.
All right.
So, but I think, yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of storylines, but week one, I think, this is a name your score Saturday for the Iowa Hawkeyes.
1-0. Moving on.
1-0. Week two, we get right into it. Cyhawk. It's at home. We own this game basically for the last decade with one flub up, which there was some controversy surrounding that one. So I don't know. I'm not picking Iowa to lose this game. Gonna have to see more from Iowa State before I pick Iowa to lose this game. Another thing is, hey, Iowa State's breaking in a new offensive coordinator too. Someone that coached tight ends that's never called plays at the Division I level.
It's true.
So,
but Iowa State is also the top Power 5 team with the amount of returning starters, right?
Well, Iowa's not far behind in that regard.
Listen, I'm not saying I'm picking against Iowa here. I'm because I'm not. What I am saying is I think it's going to be the most entertaining game of the entire schedule.
Oh,
I think it's going to be highly competitive. I don't think it's going to be a beatdown either way. I think after week one, both teams will be ranked.
See,
I see it being a tight game where it's going to come down to a la Parker Hesse closing the game out with a one-handed pick type deal, Nick Jackson or something like that. Last possession type stuff, I think, is going to happen here. Because granted, we do win those games, Andrew. The muffed punt game, we win those games.
Yeah.
Traditionally. But 9 times out of 10, those games have been one possession games. At least the last decade. So Iowa by a field goal. Drew Stevens gets right, baby.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like it.
We're gonna go 31-28.
That's a lot of points for any one team to score on the Iowa defense.
It's Iowa State.
That's weird.
That's
right.
weird.
That would be a weird score.
Yep.
I am not of the mindset that this is going to be a close game. Okay. I am more of the mindset of this offense is going to really start to hum come week 2.
What evidence do you have of this?
Yeah, I think
you are insane. Although I just predicted we would score 31 on Iowa State, arguably the top Big 12 defense, but whatever.
That's Utah until otherwise noted. But I really think that this is where it's going to come all come together. I think Leicester is kind of playing coy. I think there will still be plenty of vanilla in week 1. I think this is where they kind of pull out all the stops. I think things are going to click. We aren't going to have Caleb Brown in week 1, remember? We are going to have Caleb Brown in week 2. He's going to be ready to go. I think Jacob Gill has shown a lot of flashes as well, the transfer wide receiver coming over. And Seth Anderson has had a really good camp, as have some of the other receivers. I think it's a pretty good group of receivers. And we all know what we have at tight end. We all know about the running game. The running game's going to be good. I just don't see this being any type of close because I don't think Iowa State's offense can score on our defense at all. I think this is going to be something like 27-3. I think it's going to be just like an absolute shellacking, a la 2002 or 2009. I think 2010 was a beatdown as well. It was like 35-3, something like that. So yeah, I think.
I mean, I hope you're right. I hope we see it, but
yeah, and I mean, 2010. It's not like that was a superhuman offense, and I'm not saying it's going to be a superhuman offense. I think it's just going to be.
2010 wasn't that Stanzi's senior year?
Yeah, it was Stanzi's senior year. He was pretty good.
Yeah,
he was pretty good, but yeah, I think we're going to see something like that. It's not, again, that wasn't an amazing offense. It was just kind of average. And that's what it's going to be by week 2 going forward. I think for Iowa, just kind of average.
I mean, I'd love to see it, but there's no evidence of this happening yet. I'll say this, Andrew. I kind of miss this game being in the 3 hole of the schedule.
Yeah,
being the last non-conference game in the schedule, I missed that because then at least after week 1 you get your tweaks in, and then throttle. I don't know, Stephen F. Austin or some bullshit like that. I'm just throwing out some bullshit. North Texas, I don't know. Like you get a throttle them, and then you feel good going in, and instead of this, well, we just beat up on Illinois State. So obviously we're going to hang 42 on them on Iowa State, right? So like, I don't know.
Oh man, our friend Ben Applegate at 3 Brian refs, Andrew openly causing a stir, and all the other 3 Beards podcasts with that Iowa ISU prediction. Yeah, maybe that's why I did it. I don't know, but
speaking of, we should have led with that. Shout out to the other 3 podcasts that are up for Podcast of the Year nominations. We should have led with that, Andrew. I had that in my head before we went live. 3 Blind Refs, Old Man Strength, and False Starts, all nominated for one of their genres.
The Iowa Podcast Awards.
Yep. Congratulations to them, and congratulations to our fearless leader, Chris Shipley, 3 Beards Media as a whole. Hey, Andrew, I actually co-hosted 2 of the 3 of those at one point in time. So
sweet.
I'm going to put it on my resume when we move on.
I produced 3 Blind Refs when they first started out.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Producer. Noted.
I just want to say no.
We want to see them on the creds when they roll down the screen. I'm just saying.
All right. Sorry.
All right.
I love that Ben Applegate is tuning in. That's
wonderful.
Love his support. That's great support there, Ben. Thank you very much. Yeah. Where were we? Yeah. I was causing a stir. It's fine. It's all right. Let's keep it moving on. Let's get to something less controversial. Week 3 against Troy. I don't know much about the Troy Trojans. I think
they are the Troy Trojans. Yes, they
are.
I only know that because I played against them with Army in college football, which is actually paused behind or in front of me actually now.
Sweet.
Yeah. We're in the Big Ten championship. Who do you think I'm playing?
Michigan,
Ohio State.
Yeah, obviously. Troy. I think they were decent last year.
I think they were a bowl team last year.
Yeah. So
in fact, I think they played for their conference championship game.
let's look up Troy. I didn't
Take
do
a little
any.
peek. We got some time.
Yeah, we got great time here. But I'm predicting a win here. I just don't know what kind of level of win I'm going to go with. Troy was 11-3, and I believe they are breaking in a new coaching staff this year.
Okay.
I think John Summerall has moved on to. He was their coach, and has moved on to some other major school. I can't remember where he's going to be now. But he was the coach of the year in 2022. So new coaching staff for Troy, probably a lot of new players, a lot of new faces that kind of comes with that. Maybe a little bit of a letdown spot here. Maybe this is something like 24-10 or something kind of weird like that. A little bit of a letdown spot going into the Big Ten slate the next week, and then after a crushing win over Iowa State, in my estimation, 24-10.
24-10?
Yeah, something like that.
That sounds about right. That sounds about right. I mean, Troy. It turns out Troy is returning not the coaching staff, but 15 of the 22 starters, from the Sun Belt champions. They throttled Appalachian State, lost to Duke 17-10 in their bowl game, which it seemed that everybody played in. So, I mean, it is a good football team. So 24-10 sounds about right. From a non-major conference opponent that's pretty good. I mean, it's not North Dakota State, right? Thank God, because I don't want to ever play them again.
We never will.
There's nothing to gain from that to play them, right? So, that being said, I'm going to change it up just a little bit, just to not copy. I guess we'll go 21-6.
Okay. I like it. I
21-6.
like it.
No touchdowns, 2 field goals.
All right. That's fine. I can deal with that. So we got Iowa sitting at 3-0, both of us do. Then comes a game against Minnesota, who I think could be the cellar dweller of the Big Ten. I think Minnesota could be the worst team in the Big Ten this year. I think they could be down there, 3-9, 4-8. I'm not high on Minnesota at all. I think this is a shellacking. I think revenge from last year, the nonsense. I think Kirk and the boys just put it on these guys in Minnesota.
So you think this is like PJ Fleck's swan song or what?
Yeah, PJ Fleck actually tried to get out of Minnesota, but was unsuccessful. So
yeah. the boat sinks 41-10 Hawks. Let's move on.
Okay, you say 41-10, I say 37-13.
Okay.
Somewhere right around the same area. And then I think we get a bye week in there. I can't remember where the bye week is. I can't remember if it's before the Minnesota game or after the Minnesota game. I think it's after. We get one of our 2 bye weeks in there.
Let's take a look.
Which is good because it comes at a good time.
Well, apparently I'm looking up St. Ambrose. Go Bees of Davenport.
Let's go, St. Ambrose. Shout out.
Shout out. Eastern State.
Shout out to St. Ambrose. Schedule here. I'm pulling it up.
Let's see. 9-7, 9-14, 9-21. Then comes the bye week, which does come at a nice time because we go to Columbus at the start of October.
Yeah, we get and for Ohio State, we play Ohio State at Ohio State the week before they go to Oregon.
Oh, that is true.
So we catch Ohio State at like a really good time. So I think this game could sneakily be close, like closer than people are expecting, because Iowa's coming off a bye. So they get a whole extra week to prepare for Ohio State, get healthy if there's any minor injuries. And maybe Ohio State's looking forward to like a pseudo playoff, Big Ten. Ohio State, Oregon is like the game of the year in the Big Ten, no doubt. And one of the games of the year nationally, for sure.
Well, here's the problem, Andrew. And there's a reason why there's the nice, beautiful, explicit E on Spotify for this podcast, right? E for explicit. The unfortunate part is Ohio State's going to be coming off a throat fucking of Michigan State the week before. So, I mean, they're going to have a lot of rest too.
Yeah. I mean, they're not listening to Michigan State, although
they might be the bottom dwellers of the Big Ten, in my opinion.
No, I think with what they've brought in via transfer portal and their coach, I like their coach a lot. I think Michigan State's a program that's going to finish probably in the middle of the pack, definitely above Minnesota.
We're gonna write that down in the bold notebook and see what happens.
Definitely above Minnesota and Illinois. Northwestern.
I'm writing it down so we can revisit this at the end of the season.
Yes, please revisit this because it's going to look so great when I'm so right.
Bold predictions: Michigan State over Minnesota. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty easy.
Okay.
That's easy. Anyways, I'm not picking Iowa to win this game, but I do think it's going to end up being something like 24-20. Ohio State wins like a late touchdown. 24-20, Ohio State. Iowa loses a close one in Columbus. And I think the nation is a little bit put on notice because Iowa has enough of an offense to contend against the top teams. And obviously we know about the defense. They put a little bit of a scare into Ohio State team that I think is just looking 1 week ahead. Iowa's focused solely on that game.
I think it's going to be kind of similar. I don't think the result is going to be close. Like I'm looking at this game kind of like 10-10 going into the third quarter. Ohio State scratches out a touchdown early in the third, and it's kind of back and forth from there. 17-10, 17-10, 17-10. Ohio State scores middle of the fourth quarter, 24-10. We're desperate. Throw a pick six, like 31-10. Like the ending score is not a microcosm of the football game. It's not a good telling sign. Does that make sense? Like
yeah,
the game is competitive. The game is competitive for 3 quarters, but then kind of unravels down the last few minutes because if it doesn't, you don't win anyway. Type deal.
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 31-10 Ohio State.
Got it. Well, then we come back the next week and we get the Washington Huskies home, I believe, a night game or maybe a mid-afternoon game. Can't remember right off the top of my head.
We don't know, actually.
We don't know. We don't know. Actually. Hoping for a night game. That'd be sweet. Night games in Kinnick are fun. So potential for a night game here, we'll say. But Washington,
we have a differentiating opinions on Washington.
Yes, we have massively differentiating opinions on the Washington Huskies. I think they're closer to like 10th here because they're breaking in completely new everybody, except for I think they're bringing back one starter on defense, and everybody else is new, and the coaching staff is new. I think that's a lot of change. I mean, there's still talent on the roster, but that is a lot of change for a team to go through. So I'm not I'm not putting a lot of stock into the Washington Huskies. HR has been notified. Thanks, Chris.
About which one? The our explicit content or
no, probably my prediction.
Oh, okay.
Earlier. So it's fine. It's fine. But I think Iowa at home against a team like this, obviously we're breaking in a new offense. I don't really see Washington keeping up in this one. I think it's something like 38-17. I think Iowa scores multiple defensive touchdowns probably in this game. 38-17.
Now you're gonna get the fans really fired up, Andrew. You're gonna there's gonna be like 18 defensive touchdowns this season because that's what we're used to, damn it. I think it's gonna be an unnecessary close game. I think it's going to be like 27-20 Iowa. Kind of like the reverse of Ohio State. Like now the score is closer than it actually was because, Washington scores a garbage touchdown with like 15 seconds left or some shit. I think statistically we will dominate. I don't think they're as bad as you think because like the way that you describe it, you describe them as like this year's TCU. Right? Like,
that's actually a perfect description.
National championship runner-up team, lost everybody. What did they win last year? Were they even bowl eligible last year?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think they're going to be that bad. It's not TCU. People aren't getting recruited to Fort Worth. Like Spokane's pretty nice, man.
We'll see, but I think it's I think it's not that great.
I think there's going to be a bigger feel-out period, though, with the style of play from the previous Pac-12 coming into the Big Ten. So, like, I think those games on the schedule, by and large, are the biggest question mark of the season, because we don't really know what that looks like. Traditionally, like when we go west, we get thumped, right? Every time we go to Arizona State. Like teams that have no business beating us, it's like 21-0 before we even like get off the bus because it's like 10 p.m. Eastern time before they even kick off. So like whatever reason when they go west is a whole different ball game. But this game being in Kinnick, I feel more comfortable with it. 27-20, I'm going with.
Got it. Well, we have reached the halfway point of the season of the schedule, so we will come back after hearing from all of our wonderful sponsors and give you our predictions for the second half of the season.
Making great tasting bourbon requires the perfect combination of ingredients, conditions, and time. The longer it rests, the better it tastes. Revelton Distillery's new single barrel bourbon is made from 80% corn, sourced 100% from Iowa farmers. And unlike mass-produced bourbons, each barrel of Revelton's single barrel bourbon is unique, proofed on when it tastes best. As they like to say, it'll be ready when it's ready. And to ensure the highest standards of quality and flavor, owners Rob and Christy Taylor oversee the production and bottling. Every single barrel. Iowa born, Iowa aged, Iowa bottled. Try the new single barrel bourbon from Iowa's own Revelton Distillery. ReveltonDistillery.com. Whether you're buying, selling, or refinancing your home, or if it's simply time to renovate the one you're already living in, you need an experienced mortgage professional to help you analyze your financing options and to make sure the closing goes smoothly. And that's exactly what you get when you call Kyle Lehman at Wintrust Mortgage. Kyle's experience and expertise, coupled with Wintrust's rates and programs, ensures you'll get the mortgage that's right for you. You may even qualify for down payment assistance. Before you reach out to a realtor, call Kyle and get pre-qualified, empowering you to start shopping for the home of your dreams. Call Kyle at 515 515-473-0546. Kyle Lehman, Wintrust Mortgage, 515-473-0546. In 2023, a crack Green Beret named Dan Douglas retired his military command and promptly escaped to a full-time career in real estate. Today, this man is wanted by home buyers and sellers who want to survive the process without spending a fortune. If you have a home to sell or want to buy one, maybe you can hire Dan Douglas at Green Beret Realty. You can find him at greenberetrealty.com. greenberetrealty.com.
Wow, I love the A-Team theme on that Dan Douglas Green Beret Realty. Go check them out. That's one of the best ads I've seen.
It's the first time we've seen it, right?
First time we're seeing it, both of us. I hadn't seen it before tonight. I'm glad I waited until now. Yeah, that's a good ad. So thank you for supporting all the shows here, Dan. We love having you as a sponsor.
And Dan, thanks for your service, man. Appreciate it.
Let's move from Green Beret to the green and white of Michigan State. Road game at Michigan State for Iowa on October 19, the week after playing Washington at home. And we already talked about it. We're divided on this team. I like Jonathan Smith. I think he did a great job turning around Oregon State. I think I just took a quick peek at Michigan State's schedule. I think there's a legit shot that Michigan State's 4-2 coming into this game against Iowa. 4-2. They play Florida Atlantic at home. That's a win. At Maryland, I think that's kind of a toss-up, but I will take Sparty at Maryland and say 2-0. Prairie View A&M at home. I think Michigan State wins that one. And then they go to
bold statement.
Yeah, it's not bold. It's not that bold. It's the Maryland game.
I'm putting it in the book.
Okay, great. Put all my bold takes in the book. I'm loving it. The book of bold.
Michigan State over Prairie View A&M.
Okay. All right. But here's where maybe it gets bold. They go to Boston College, who's breaking in a new coach, right? It's Bill O'Brien is their new coach. But
what? Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Well, yeah, Bill O'Brien was going to be the offensive coordinator at Ohio State, and then Jeff Hafley left Boston College to be the defensive coordinator of the Green Bay Packers, which great move for Green Bay, by the way. But Bill O'Brien left to be the head coach at Boston College, and then Chip Kelly is now the offensive coordinator at Ohio State.
That's crazy. I remember all that.
That's how we have Deshaun Foster coaching UCLA. So,
his media days were excellent.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But Michigan State's bringing back quite a few starters, including Nate Carter, who was a good running back. And Aiden Childs was, I believe, a 5-star or even a high 4-star quarterback prospect for Oregon State that has followed Jonathan Smith to Michigan State. So they have talent at quarterback, and that's why I like them. They play at Boston College in week 4. I think they start the year 4-0. I think Michigan State starts 4-0. Then they play Ohio State at home, at Oregon. I think easy to say 2 losses there. And then they have a home game against Iowa, right? And they were playing us tough until Cooper took one back on them in Kinnick at night with a less talented roster last year. I'm not picking Michigan State to beat Iowa, but man, if I didn't think this would be close, I'd be lying to all of you. 20-17, I think Iowa squeaks it out in East Lansing, because we've had our problems in East Lansing too.
That's true.
So
we've also had 7 score 6 in that end zone too, haven't we?
Yeah, I think it's another like nail biter. We probably don't come down to that kind of a situation. At least I hope not, because there won't be a podcast anymore after I'm gone. After I die of a heart attack, I won't make it. Hey,
I'm the one on cholesterol medication on this podcast. Just want everybody to know that.
and I probably should be, but I just don't care. But I'm going to take Iowa to win, but I think it's a real nail biter in this scenario.
Yeah, I'm opposite of this. So you say back to back weeks, it's Oregon, Ohio State, Iowa.
Yeah, Ohio State at Oregon, Iowa at home.
My goodness.
At Michigan. Then they get the next week they get to go to Michigan. So they could start out 4-0 and then end up 4-4, and that's exactly what I'm predicting for the Michigan State Spartans.
You know, Andrew, like in a season with a schedule like this, it's easy to be like, well, 11-1 is the floor, right? Like the only question mark is if we can beat Ohio State or some shit. But we always lose one of these games, right? We always lose one of these. It seems like anyway, for the exception of 2015, we always lose these. Nebraska last year, for F's sake. Like
not last year, 2 years ago.
2 years ago. I'm sorry. Yeah, we beat them last year. We actually made the title game last year, and then Northwestern made it the year before that, right?
Yes, because we blew that game to Northwestern. Not Nebraska.
Nebraska. Yep. This game's not that game. Michigan. I don't know. A whole new regime, like you said, right? Or fairly new coaching staff.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I don't even want to put a number on it. I think it's going to be 27-14.
I like it.
The drive to 325 is well on its way. We might have already scored 325 with our predictions.
With my predictions, if my predictions come true, we're going to hit 325 about 8 games through the season.
We're almost there.
Yeah, we're almost there. So we come back and we play a Northwestern team who their starting quarterback is now fighting for a quarterback job in Iowa City. I like their coach. They brought back some talent. They have Cam Porter and Bryce Kurtz and AJ Henning, who I think can make some sort of a semblance of an offense, although their offense struggled kind of as much as ours did last year, and they got by on a strong defense. I'm not so sure that their defense is going to be as strong this year. I think it's tricky always, but it was always tricky in the Pat Fitzgerald days.
Yeah,
Iowa.
Yeah. They've been so far removed. Pat Fitzgerald's been canceled.
Yes. I don't think this is a tricky spot at home for Iowa. I think it's something like 24-7.
I don't think it is either, Andrew. Just based on what I saw with my own eyes in Wrigley Field last year, that was brutal to watch. Somehow pull that out. Like by and large, Northwestern had every right to win that football game.
Right, and they just couldn't take it.
Yeah,
they didn't have the offense to take it. Then we play Wisconsin.
Yep.
So a nice little home stretch here. We get to play Northwestern and Wisconsin at home back to back, and we took pretty good care of Wisconsin in Camp Randall last year in Madison. They brought in Tyler Van Dyke. They lose Braylon Allen, but they weren't really using him correctly anyways. They bring a lot of guys back on defense as well. I think outside of Ohio State, this is probably the most competitive ball game that we have on the schedule. I think outside of Ohio State.
Because you took a giant shit on Iowa State.
I did. I think the loss of Shieldhouse is a pretty big loss, and I think promoting a guy who hasn't called any plays at the Division I level before is a pretty big deal.
Listen, the problem with Wisconsin is this team doesn't have an identity. This team for 50 straight years was the slightly better Iowa. Slightly better offense, slightly better defense. Like mirror each other for 50 years, it seems like. And then they just went to this air raid run and gun type bullshit that with players that don't fit that mold to begin with. Like you just said, Braylon Allen, misused the fuck out of him. I don't think this year is the year that they have an identity. I think I think this game is actually more like your Iowa State prediction. I mean, I think it's.
I like that.
I think it's 31-10.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think convincing.
Okay. I'm on board with that. I think this is a little bit closer, though. I think Tyler Van Dyke is a decent quarterback. I think it was better than what they had last year. I think year 2 is kind of when you see some improvement from these first-year head coaches, and so I'm just banking on Luke Fickell having things more established in year 2 for Wisconsin. Kind of influx of talent, kind of getting guys to fit his system or know his system better on offense, I think makes a difference. I think this is 21-17. I think Iowa squeaks one out against Wisconsin. I think this is one of those classic battles that we have back and forth with Wisconsin. But I would take your result every day of the week and twice on Sunday. That brings up a matchup with UCLA going to the Rose Bowl, which is a sweet venue. I wish we were playing USC instead. That'd be a lot more fun. UCLA, they're kind of in turmoil a little bit. Lost Chip Kelly, kind of filled in with Deshaun Foster a little bit suddenly. They do have Eric Bieniemy as their offensive coordinator, but yeah, they have Eric Bieniemy as their offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I saw that idiot out here for a season, and then I didn't renew my season tickets. So
yeah, so again, not great things coming for the UCLA Bruins, I don't think. They do bring back their quarterback, Ethan Garbers, from last year, but it was a team that went 8-5, I think. They lost some talent off of that team. They didn't bring back a lot of talent, and they went against a Pac-12 schedule, a little bit different kind of a schedule. I think they're in that bottom group for me of the Big Ten, and I think this isn't going to be a close game at all. I think Iowa could really put a whooping on here. I think it could be something like 41-10. I think Iowa could really crush some skulls in the Rose Bowl against the UCLA Bruins. I don't think this is going to be close.
Hey, remember when I told you that when Iowa goes out west, they inexplicably get thumped?
Yeah.
I don't know if I necessarily want to predict that, but it is the Rose Bowl. And the last time we played in the Rose Bowl, I'm pretty sure there was a guy named Christian McCaffrey wearing number 5.
Mm-hmm.
That I don't know. Anyway, that's not here nor there because that's not even the same school. That all to say that this game's gonna be closer than it should be. I think UCLA actually has the halftime lead.
Oh boy!
And before Iowa wakes up, I think it's gonna be a squeaker, man. I think it's gonna be 27-24 Iowa. Taking Iowa. Still taking Iowa. But Iowa going west, man. Just check the history. Check the books, man.
I know the history. I know the books,
dangerous.
Especially in the Kirk Ferentz era. But there was always some sort of at least talented player on that. Arizona had Nick Foles.
Yeah. Shout out to Big Dick Nick, retired this year.
Yeah, and Arizona State had Andrew Walter, who ended up being an NFL quarterback. Or I just don't see that here with this UCLA team. And I just checked; no one on their offense wears number 5, so we're in the clear. This is going to be an absolute beatdown.
Listen, Andrew, I got to throw in these close predictions here, right? Because
I
can't just straight homer this clear to 11-1. I don't think.
Okay.
Because I truly, in my heart, don't think this team makes it to 11-1.
Okay. So then
I just don't know where. I'm just trying to strategically place where it's going to be, and I'm running out of games. So
you're running out of games.
Yeah.
Because your next game is at Maryland here on November 23. So a late East Coast trip. Maryland's a decent team, man. I don't know a lot about MJ Morris, but he's the projected quarterback for Maryland this year. But they bring back Hemby, who's been there for a while, running the ball. Caden Prather and Ty Felton, who have caught passes there for quite a while. So they bring back some weapons on offense. So it's not, I don't think they're the most dangerous offense. And they have Josh Gaddis and Kevin Sumlin running the show on offense.
Hey, listen, you forgot their secret weapon that they brought in, though, bro.
Here's their secret weapon.
His name is Brian Ferentz.
Oh, the analyst, Brian Ferentz.
Yeah.
Well, he will help their offensive line and tight end play if he's allowed to coach that. I forgot that this is the Brian Ferentz game. I don't think that gives them any sort of an edge. Just don't. So I think Iowa wins a close one. I think this is closer than it should be. I think this is like a weird game too. Like it's 17-13 or something like that. Yeah. I think Iowa wins like a 17-13, just kind of a strange, weird game before they gear up for the last week. So I've got Iowa 10-1. I'm making no bones about it. 10-1 going into the last game of the year. I think you're going to this game, Drew.
So this would be my third Iowa-Maryland football game in Maryland. The first one was in 2014. Didn't go well. That was obviously the season where Joshua Dobbs for Tennessee in the bowl game lit us up. We finally let what's his nuts go to Michigan, and we started C.J. Beathard.
Rudock.
Yeah. Jake Rudock, that piece of shit.
Oh man, we're being rude to Rudock.
So there was also a guy on that team that really got shafted in this whole deal of college football in those days, and that his name was Drew Ott. Drew Ott, I believe, was a freshman that season, and he was freshman or sophomore. I believe he was all Big Ten. He might have been a sophomore then, and he was just wrecking fools, man. Iowa took an early 14-0 lead in the first quarter. We're all there in our black and gold, standing like the 20-yard line, like awesome seats. We paid like less than face value for them, actually, like day of, people selling them like outside the stadium. So like that was pretty awesome. It's definitely over 25, Ben.
Yep. I'm way over 25.
The drive for 325 ended at UCLA. I think we eclipsed 325 at UCLA with three games to play.
We did. I'm probably closer to 30. Honestly,
wild. Yep. We're both over, Ben. I don't know.
That happens. This is a legit team. This is a playoff team.
Yeah.
Especially with the new format.
For sure.
Keep going.
Anyway, led that game 14-0 in the first quarter. We lost. It was the one and only time I ever got kicked out of a bar, Andrew, on campus in College Park. It was called Looney's Pub. That place was really popping with like $2 fireballs. But then the problem was I had a whole bottle pregame and then went back for more in misery of Iowa blowing a double-digit lead. The next time was probably the last time Iowa scored 50 points. They hung that 55 burger on Maryland.
Oh, that was so fun.
Against Tua's little brother. We had 5 interceptions. I think that's the last time we scored 50 points. So that was pretty awesome. But then now, this is a trilogy for me personally. They don't have Tua's little brother anymore at quarterback. Maryland should have beat Michigan last year in the regular season, if you remember that game at all.
Mm-hmm. I do.
They were up a touchdown with 6 to play and the ball.
Yeah.
And found a way to lose. So
Great.
I also think this is a close game. I don't think there's a lot of points scored. I think this is more like 2017. We're going to go under that 25, Ben. 2017 Iowa.
Yeah, he says he loves what he's heard from Lester, but he's more nervous after the reports from last weekend. I would say it was an open to the public practice. We never really see much that it's like intentionally vanilla, especially on offense. So I wouldn't base off too much off of that. I know there's a closed scrimmage going down this Saturday, so the media won't be there, but I'm sure we'll hear some reports from the media out of that. So there's another scrimmage going down this Saturday, and I hope to hear something better from that. And it probably will be, because it'll be closed down and it won't be as vanilla, I don't think.
Yeah,
and
Ben,
once the
early
season starts. Yeah.
Yeah, early in the podcast, Ben, we were talking that it's not pretty much full contact in that Kids Day excursion, right? So early blows of the whistles, not exactly hard hitting,
Right.
stuff like that, and also going up against arguably a top 5 defense as well with the 1v1s. So not a major concern. There's not a lot of defenses on this schedule that's going to be better than Iowa's. So
yeah, the only one.
It is what it is.
Yeah, that's an interesting conversation. I think the only team that you could argue that has a better defense on Iowa's schedule is Ohio State. I think that's probably but even then, I don't know if I would argue that.
Yeah.
But and again, we're talking about Ohio State and Iowa probably having 2 of the best 5 defenses in the nation. I think Georgia, Ohio State, Iowa, I think those are 3 of the 5 best, and then take your pick of 2 others, maybe Michigan, Penn State. I don't know, but it's all Big Ten basically for defense.
Yeah. I'm not concerned, Ben. I'm not.
Yeah. Nebraska, week 12, Black Friday. We own this game outside of the blunder in 2022, which, again, Cooper DeJean doesn't get injured. We win that game going away. It doesn't matter. Also, Nebraska has sustained their star left tackle, I think, is out for the year now. Teddy Prochaska, I think they lost him. I think they lost someone else too for the year on defense. That was big for them. They've had a couple of devastating injuries actually already. They're starting the new phenom at quarterback, probably Raiola, the Patrick Mahomes wannabe, who committed to Georgia and then ended up going to Nebraska in the end anyways, because he's a Nebraska legacy. Dominique Raiola's kid, if you remember Dominique Raiola.
I don't. I'll take your word for it.
Longtime offensive lineman, played for the Lions as well as the Huskers. Played for the Lions in the NFL.
Okay.
So yeah, Dominique Raiola, legacy recruit there. And that's why Nebraska got him. Big reason why. My question for Nebraska is the wide receivers. They have Alex Bullock back, who's a decent wide receiver. They have Thomas Fedone, decent tight end. I don't know. Nash Hutmaker and Ty Robinson on the defensive line. Their defense is going to be good again at Nebraska. Matt Rule, it sucks that he's so likable because he's Nebraska's head coach.
I was thinking the same thing.
I don't want to like him, but I kind of do.
Yep.
I don't know. I just think true freshman who probably doesn't play like a true freshman by the end of the year, but who knows what could happen in Kinnick on Black Friday. I didn't want to go homer and go 11-1, but I can't I can't pick Nebraska in this scenario on the road. It took like a miraculous game from Trey Palmer in 2022 to beat Iowa. I just don't see Nebraska having that this year. So give me Iowa. Give me something like last year's game, and it'll be like 20-17. And it'll be cold, and it'll be maybe windy and rainy or snowing, something crazy like that. But I think Iowa's just going to gut this one out. Again, the running game and the defense, I think, is going to gut it out. And we have better quarterback play. We went 10-2 last year with terrible quarterback play. And I think either option that we throw out there this year is going to be better because there's not anywhere to go but up with the quarterback play. But I think either option is better than what we saw last year. Heck, I think our third and fourth options are better than what we saw last year. So 11-1.
By virtue of running out of football games to pick against them, and the fact that this is what rules year 2.
Yep.
Starting to establish some culture in the program, players that fit his mold and fit his style of play. Nebraska walk-off field goal.
Shoot. They do have a decent field goal kicker.
17-16.
I hate that.
I do too, Andrew, but we always do this. Always do this. It's just the fact that it's Nebraska. Here's the thing too, Andrew. Do you want to go get throttled by, like, say we're 11-2? Are we making the Big Ten title game then in your scenario? Are we going to be ranked high enough? Actually, let me ask you this. I don't even know the answer to this. Everybody's Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon are all round robin to 11-1, say, right?
Yeah.
With us. What's the tiebreaker? Is it highest college football playoff ranked?
Probably. I don't know. I honestly don't know because I don't think that's I think Ohio State and Oregon could go. Well, one of those two teams I think is going 12-0.
I don't see. No, I don't think so. I don't think so, man. I think there's going to be a logjam of 11-1s, and it's gonna force this weird scenario of what I don't know yet. What if Penn State goes? What if Penn State goes 11-1? Their schedule is very favorable as well.
Yeah, Michigan's is not.
Michigan's is not.
I would bet against Michigan going 11-1.
There could be 5 teams that go 11-1.
Could be. I think it's more likely that there's 4. Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, Iowa. Michigan being
and you know what? I don't know I don't know all of their schedules other than the fact that Ohio State goes to Oregon, but like there's probably a scenario where somebody plays them both, so like they can't go.
Yeah, Michigan plays Oregon and Ohio State. They're the unlucky ones. They play Oregon at home. They play at Ohio State. They get USC at home. I don't know. But yeah, obviously at Ohio State the last week of the season. I don't know. And I'm just a little bit down on Michigan because like quarterback. I don't know who Michigan's quarterback is going to be. They have like 5 guys competing for the spot. We have 2 at Iowa. They have like 5 guys competing for QB1. Okay. So it's a little bit of a mess. And then you've got all the Harbaugh mess.
Well, the good news for Michigan is those are all 4- and 5-star guys.
Yeah.
So I mean,
and Michigan has to play a home game. They play Texas out of conference.
Oh, that's true.
They play USC too. I mean,
okay, so we're throwing Michigan out of this scenario, right?
I am throwing Michigan out of this scenario.
We're saying Oregon, Ohio State,
Penn State, Iowa,
us and Penn State.
Yeah.
Okay. So, like, what's the tiebreaker?
I don't know because we don't play Penn State. I think, well, I don't know. I would just take Oregon or Ohio State and play them again in the Big Ten championship. That's what I do personally.
Right. So in your scenario of 11-1, no Big Ten title game, they make the college football playoff.
Yeah, Iowa would make the college football playoff, I think.
In my scenario of 10-2, not make the college football playoff.
Yeah.
They don't.
They probably wouldn't make the college football playoff in a 10-2.
No, their schedule's trash for that. You know,
Yeah.
they would their only quality win in my scenario, quality win, Iowa State. Quality win.
I don't know.
Iowa State's going to play for a Big 12 title this year. Mark my words. I'm putting that in my bold statement.
That is too bold. It's going to be Utah and Oklahoma State.
Iowa State title game. There it is. There's my bold statement.
Wow. Okay. Well, we will see. Yeah, that's it. That's all we've got for the season. You've got 10-2. I've got 11-1. It's going to be a great season. I think. What do we think about the floor? I think just everything goes wrong. I think it's 7-5. I think everything goes wrong. I think like 7-5 is like the worst thing that could happen.
So everything goes wrong.
Like not injury wise, but just like the offense just doesn't come around and balls don't bounce our way. Maybe the defense takes a little bit of a step back.
We
7-5.
We lose to Iowa State for sure. Then we lose to Ohio State,
Nebraska.
We lose to Nebraska,
and then like a Maryland loss or
Maryland, Wisconsin.
Yeah, and that's it probably.
Potentially UCLA on the road. You don't think so, but I do. Just the fact of going west.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think
I'll say 8-4. I'll say 8-4 is the floor.
Okay, fair enough.
Yep.
I think that's a fair assessment of the
They're
floor.
not going 12-0. The ceiling is 11-1.
Yeah, I agree there too. I think the ceiling is 11-1, and
wouldn't it be a shame if that one was Iowa State and we beat Ohio State at Ohio State? Wouldn't that be a shame?
No, because then I think in that scenario, wouldn't we make the Big Ten championship because we went undefeated in conference?
Yeah, but then we lose again.
But then we beat Oregon in the Big Ten championship. And then it doesn't matter about the Iowa State loss.
That's true because we're an automatic qualifier.
Because we're an automatic qualifier and we beat 2 of the 5 best teams in college football.
That's not happening, bro.
If Iowa wins the Big Ten championship, then that means that they will be hosting a college football playoff game. Or even, I think if they even make it, there's a scenario where if they just make it to the Big Ten championship, they could be hosting a college football playoff game in round 1.
So wait. So I thought the Power 5 conference champions got the first 4 seeds. That's not the case?
No, they do. The top 4 conferences get the first 4 seeds, but
so if Iowa won the Big Ten title game, they wouldn't be hosting a playoff game. It would be one of the normal.
No, I'm saying if they make it and lose, they might be somewhere in that 5 through 8.
Yeah.
And then host a game in Kinnick, which would be
great. In December. A December
game in Kinnick for our playoff opponent coming to us. And it could be something like the mid-major team like that gets in, like Liberty or something.
I hope it's like Ole Miss.
That'd be great. Bring Kiffin.
Bring Kiffin, you piece of shit.
Anyways, we can hope and dream. It's time for eternal optimism in the preseason, right? As always. Any last remarks before we close up shop and come back next week?
Full steam ahead. We're going to try to get iCold on next week, so stay tuned to that. We're going to work really hard this season, guys, on finding the beat writers or the announcers or podcasters of every school this year. We're going to work really hard to do that. I think that provides very, very good subject matter expert content for our opponent schools, and which you want to actually learn about, and we do too. Because honestly, we can look at it. We can look at film. We can look at a box score. But we do this for love of the game. We're not doing this for a job, right? So we're not doing nothing but watch college football games. Maybe Andrew is. I don't know, but I'm not.
Man,
you know
me. I am.
But anyway, no. So we want to bring that subject matter expert content for our opponents this season, and I think we'll be successful at doing so. So.
Yeah, that's great. I would love to do that as well. One last thought, quick recruiting tidbit here. I know I'm the look ahead guy on the recruiting front, but look for something from IOSA Epinesa in the coming weeks.
I thought I heard that went a downturn.
Nope. The PE was there at the Kids Day practice, and we are now on IOSA Epinesa commit watch to Iowa. So,
is there a crystal ball?
Yeah, our own friend David Eichel, I think it's well publicized now, not breaking anything, has placed a crystal ball to that effect of Epinesa committing. Also, David's going to Nashville sometime here soon. So,
David, go ahead and get your ass out of here. Let's go. You hear? Go on now. Yeah, go on now.
The narrative of good things happening when David's out of town is just, it will never die.
Oh, that's not good though. He's going to be on with Sean tomorrow on the drive with Sean and Heather. He's filling in for Heather, so he's not out. At least as of tomorrow, he's not out. So
yeah,
it'll be a little bit later than tomorrow.
Yeah, a couple weeks, I think. I can't remember what date he said, but
hey, I did also hear, since you're bringing up looking ahead and long recruits, Jax DeJean is the number 1 overall Iowa prospect in the class of 2027, number 26 overall in the country in the class of 2027. As you know, OAB, what is it? OABCIG?
Yeah.
Is that did I do it right?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. I did it right the first time.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you what all that's. Well, I can't remember what
Odebo
Arthur, Battle Creek, Ida Grove.
There it is.
I needed the O and the A. I remember the last 4.
Oh, I got the O for you for sure. Yeah. I knew Ida Grove as well. It rolled off the tongue once you got Odebo. So you're good.
He is going to be a more sought after recruit than his brother, which is unbelievable.
I mean, the proof is in the pudding, in the blood, man.
You know what
I'm saying? Like now you have a sample size, dude. I watched his freshman tape earlier before coming on today. Like, I don't know if he's playing varsity ball as a freshman, like, because these kids look stupid. But he's 6'4", 205 already as a freshman.
I'm sorry, what now?
He's his tape, his huddle tape, what they do these days, the huddle tapes that they put together, claims he's 6'4", 205.
Oh boy, that is something. I don't know what kind of position that's going to translate to.
They say he's in the category of athlete, Andrew. So take that for what you will. Cooper DeJean was as well, wasn't he? He wasn't specific position. He was athlete.
Yeah, but then it was kind of known that he was going to play somewhere in the defensive backfield.
But what we do know is Cooper DeJean is not 6'5", 205.
Yeah, if his brother is if Jackson is as athletic as Cooper and that tall, play him at wide receiver, please.
Yeah, get DeJean the ball.
Yeah,
let's do that.
DeJean the ball. We have another chance of 3 years of getting DeJean the ball.
I think there's 3 DeJean brothers too. I don't know where the other one's at, but
yeah, I think he was older than Cooper, so I don't know where he's at.
Okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
But yeah, Jax is going to be a stud. Anyways, that'll probably do it for us. We'll be back next week, hopefully with David Eichholt, and we love all of you listening in as always. Going to be a fun season, going to be a fun ride. Thank you to all of our sponsors, AKC Marketing Studios, Revelton Distillery, Green Beret Realty, and Kyle Lehman at Wintrust Mortgage. Thank you as always. Have a great night and go Hawks.
Go Hawks.